Welcome back to the Arcopia Show. Today I'm going to talk about doing things for yourself. This includes being frugal, but this also includes a little bit of my entrepreneurship mindset in this, as well as taking advantage of some of the amenities and big companies and big systems that we have in place today. So there's a funny quote about growing tomatoes in your garden, right? It's dedicating the next 6 months of your life to save $2.50, right? Does it make financial sense to waste all that time looking after your tomatoes, watering, weeding, putting a cage on them, picking, processing? Or do you go to the store and, yeah, food prices are really expensive, but you can get a jar of some sort of pasta sauce, a big jar of pasta sauce for $3, $3.50, maybe cheaper. I don't know. A can of diced tomatoes for next to nothing. So is it worth all of your time to garden these tomatoes? And it's kind of a funny thing, and you have to be a bit of a stubborn person to not give in to the luxuries that we have today. So somebody with tomatoes, I guess, if we're on this example, created big farming and equipment and attachments for tractors and watering systems and plastic mulch rows and harvesting equipment and massive tubs and tomato crushers and to make things in massive quantities and assembly lines and automated. And it's great, but it's just like everything, it's fragile. So you have to have the mindset to be stubborn enough to still do things for yourself. I know natural gas is cheap. I know I should put a natural gas fireplace so I can put my feet up, press the remote on the TV to watch Netflix, press the remote on the fireplace, and I have a fire. The crazy person, the person that wants to be, a prepper or resilient or self-sufficient or do things old school ways just in case you have a wood stove in your house. Now it's more expensive to put a wood stove in your house. Natural gas fireplace is cheap in comparison. You need a chimney, there's maintenance on it. It's dirty, you got to haul in some firewood. Maybe there's a bug in the firewood and then you bring that in your house and then you have to clean the ash out of it. Like, what a pain in the butt. Like, the natural gas one comes with a remote control. But that said, natural gas is cheap where I am today. I mean, relatively cheap. It's going up significantly. Like, again, if we had no central banking and sound money system, natural gas would stay essentially the same. Depends where you are on the planet, or even depreciate. But thanks to government central banks and a fake money system. But anyways, I guess if you're in Europe, natural gas goes up 10 times or something, and people are freezing and can't afford their heat because it went up 10x, right? It would be good to have a wood stove. But for me in Canada, natural gas hasn't gone up too much, right? But I have wood stoves everywhere, but I also have natural gas furnaces. And I process a lot of firewood. So I get firewood from tree trimming services. I'll fell trees myself. I'll haul trees myself. Even in the past, I've bought a semi-load of nice pine, a logging truck, and then they dump it off, and then I buck it up and split it and process it and things. But all that takes a lot of my time and things. And so this winter, I've only had a few fires in a wood stove, almost like a luxury or something cool to do with the kids. Because my buildings are efficient, so I guess on my place, I have a great big shop I built myself. It's very well insulated, double windows, things like that. The greenhouse is also super insulated, and the amount of natural gas from this little 80,000 BTU furnace is minimal, right? Like it just works. I still have a bill, and I still at night it'll run a little bit, but it's minimal. And then the smallest natural gas furnace you can get for a house. And then I also have an Atco office trailer that's not even that efficient that also has a furnace in it. So I have 4 furnaces on my farm. And I was talking to some other people with older homes in the city, so not newer homes, not up like really good insulation and not the best windows and things. And their natural gas bill is the same for just their house as it is for my house, Atco trailer, shop that's, I don't know, 10 times as big as my house, and greenhouse. My bill is the same for the entire farm. Now I can heat with wood and eliminate my natural gas bill, but again, the natural gas bill is small. So I'm taking advantage of those amenities while they're here. And the firewood that I am processing, I am putting back like a strategic reserve, right? I'm going to spend my bill on some natural gas and have more firewood. Does that mean I stop processing firewood and get lazy and sit on the couch and watch Netflix? No, that means I need more space and bigger piles of firewood because I'm still going to do that. So if natural gas prices go way up, or we're without natural gas or something for whatever reason, I have even more wood to take me further along before I have to process some more. Doing things for yourself, there's something to be said for that. You have to be set up to be able to do that. Some of the infrastructure in place that you can do that, the knowledge and skills that you can do things for yourself, but take advantage of some amenities. Another thing when it comes to doing things for yourself, I'm an advocate of learning construction and building yourself. So you have those skills and the knowledge and the ability to build a garden shed, a greenhouse, a shop, a barn, your own house. Now, I built my own house, but I've built many houses, but I built my own house how I wanted it. So I took about a year. It was like 9 months double time or something. I built my house myself with minimal help. So in those 9 months, I'm working my butt off, but I'm not going to a job to get a paycheck every 2 weeks, right? So how this works when you have the withholding tax, when you're an employee and you get a paycheck, there's a withholding tax. So before you even get your own money for the fruits of your labor, the government takes it off in taxes, and then that's called after-tax dollars. And then with those after-tax dollars, a lot of people would say hire a contractor. And when you hire a contractor, the contractor has to charge sales tax and GST, and he has all these expenses. And because of all these regulations and taxes and expenses, he has to charge quite a bit. So if you're an employee and with after-tax dollars, you use those after-tax dollars to pay somebody else and tax on it, like sales tax, like it's lose. Essentially, anytime money changes hands is a losing proposition, because when money moves or a currency moves from one thing or business or person to another thing or person or business, the government has their hand out. Give me some money. But when I built my own house, no money changed hands, right? If you just do some simple math on it in your head, I didn't have to pay any labor. I built my own house, so I know the quality of it. It's better. It's exactly what I wanted. And I pay no tax as an employee, right, off the government. So it makes significantly more sense to do that, to have the ability to do things for yourself. So in this world of specialization, one of the dumbest human beings I've ever met in my life was a brain surgeon. He had Velcro shoes, and I'm pretty sure it's because he didn't know how to tie his shoes. But he knew if you needed some work done on your brain, like cut open my skull and go in there and do some work on my brain, that's the guy you want to work on your fingernails, paint a picture, tie your shoelaces, shovel the drive walk. That is the last guy you want. But in this world of specialization, that guy just goes and does a brain thing, and then he hires everything else to other people. And most people are like that. They're specialization. And I forget the quote or who quoted this, but it's specialization is for the ants. So I have this problem. Well, it's not a problem, but society doesn't value a Renaissance type person that knows how to do many different things. So for example, like I've talked to, I don't know, financial advisors and financial planners, and after you talk to them, you quickly find out, oh geez, I know more than that guy, and that guy's a financial planner. That's his specialty. Not to toot my own horn or something, but there's a book called Curse of the High IQ by Aaron Clarey, and that's a good one. If you it's painful to be that type of person where you can do everything. When I used to build houses, it was, you'd get a contractor in, and I'd kind of look over the electrical work, look over the plumbing work, look over the roofer, look over the insulation, look over the vapor barrier, and I'd have to fix all their mistakes, or the tile guy screwed something up, or somebody screwed something up, and I have to like go in and fix their stuff. Like, I can build a house every step and every trade from the bottom all the way to the top with barely asking a question even, and it's all done like to code or better, right? Like, that was my specialty. So when you get an electrician, he's an electrician. He doesn't know shit about plumbing. When you talk to a plumber, he does the plumbing. He does the shit pipes and the water lines, and he doesn't know shit about electrical. And then you get these two idiots in there, and then one's cutting holes here and screwing something up for the other trade, and it's like, Jesus, guys, like, oh man. But doing things for yourself, to be successful in the world, and I've had this problem, but you have to delegate, and I've always had that problem because I'm a do-it-yourselfer. Delegating is very important if you want to like bigger picture, bigger stuff. Anyways, like, let's say somebody was interested in my greenhouse and like, Dean, I want one of those greenhouse. What would it cost? And it's like, what, I built the greenhouse myself, right? I'm not getting a paycheck, right? I'm not getting withholding tax. I'm doing something and building it for myself over here, saving a huge amount of money. So I will do something myself, like go get insulation, used insulation, or go procure building materials, or use trusses, or misordered material, or misordered tin, and save huge amounts of money. Am I going to do that if I was contracting greenhouses? There's not enough time, right? I'm not going to sit on used marketplaces and phone around and go on a Saturday late afternoon or a Sunday evening and go with a trailer and pitch material up and haul it back to save somebody else money. And, it takes a lot of time to do that. But if somebody hired me, it's like, I'm not even sure what it would cost if you hired me and a contractor group of guys to put that together. I'd have to think about it because, geez, there's all the taxes and fees and insurance and regulation and businesses and business licenses and things you have to do, and all the cost of new material. Like I mentioned in one of my videos, the amount of insulation that went in to my greenhouse was, if I had to buy it new, was $60,000 or something, and I got that for 8 cents on the dollar or something used. And then the amount of hours that it takes, man hours it takes, and I don't even know what the going rate is, because these days I do things for myself, right? I've seen contractor companies that the owner of the company, just a big obese guy, charges $90 an hour for whatever job, and then charges $50 or $60 an hour for a handyman carpenter, and pays that carpenter whatever it is, $40 or an hour or something. And it's crazy. It gets up there. So 1,000 man hours at just $50 an hour, that's $50,000. 1,000 man hours at $90 an hour is $90,000, right? It adds up. But if you have the ability and the time and the ambition to, either in your evenings or weekends, or take some time off from whatever income source or other things you do or whatever, to do it yourself, like, saving $100,000 is like literally like making $150,000 to $200,000 when you factor in currency changing hands and all the bullshit you need to specialize at something else and hire somebody to do your greenhouse build or whatever. Now, also with business, so we have, again, freeze-dried smoothies, invented by us, outsourced, because there's no way, Like, we don't grow the types of tropical fruits here, so you have to import those here, and then freeze drying here, where electricity is ridiculously expensive. Just outsourced to massive existing facilities, lots of certifications. So my freeze-dried food company, it's big business, right? Big scale, big inventory, big shipments, big production lines, tens of millions of dollars for the freeze-dried equipment in these multi-million-dollar facilities and things. So it's consistency, volume, you can do enough, and it brings the price down, right? But it's a fragile system, a million moving parts. It's a pain in the butt. It's an entirely different system. But then we have our harvest rate freeze dryers. Now, initially, my idea was I actually have a room wired up for 10 harvest rate freeze dryers. I was going to do a freeze-dried food company and like get a farmer's market booth and things. And it's like, by the time you buy ingredients or source ingredients, I wanted this thing support local economy. So reaching out to like local berry orchards and things and seeing what the best wholesale price for extreme bulk is. Like, what if I bought out your entire crop, it would be, and stuff. And it was, geez, like the initial wholesale price on the berry, let alone take it back, clean it, process it, freeze dry it. You can only freeze dry so much, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, it's not even remotely close to cost effective, right? So I couldn't do that, and I still want to provide value. So this is big business over here, and then we have a harvest rate freeze dryer to do things for ourselves. And when we initially got that freeze dryer, it would be buying things on sale or any deal we could find and then freeze drying it, putting that food away. But then you get to a point that it's like, no, this actually only makes sense if I produce something like from my garden or greenhouse or meat from the barn or hunting or something. It only makes sense I can do that. That initial food is free, process it myself for us in the freeze dryer, put our food away, and then it makes sense, right? So doing things ourselves. I can't make a business out of, there's not enough money in, there's no margins in, all those regulations and stuff. It's like impossible. So I see a lot of people started little tiny harvest rate freeze dry companies where they bought a few machines and they're freeze drying some stuff, and they want to provide a product that people want to buy, and that ends up being candy and Skittles. So they'll buy candy, whatever deal they can get, I guess, like Skittles, and freeze dry it. And then instead of a chewy Skittle, you have a crunchy Skittle, and apparently people are willing to pay that. Seems like a lot of wasted electricity for me, but they can only do so much. They probably can't, there's not enough room because it's too expensive to put it on Amazon maybe, or put it in a retail store and all those licenses. Like, you have to do it big enough for it to make sense. So another example would be my wife's sourdough bread. Her sourdough bread would be, it's a beautiful thing. She shapes it, uses a knife to cut a flower design in it. It's beautiful. Like, in the highest end bakery in the world, I don't know what this loaf of sourdough bread would be worth, but it's the equivalent to the highest end bakery in the world. My entrepreneurial mind is like, well, geez, this is amazing. Like, I wonder if you got like bigger ovens and this, could you make a business out of it? And it's like, well, the amount of time it would take, you have to do quite a few loaves a day. And then if you wanted a retail front or something, you needed to like rent that or buy a retail front or give a margin to a retailer and all the bills with that. And then if you're going to do that, then you need all these certifications and things. So you have to like make quite a few loaves of these bread a day. And then if you make a whole bunch of them, it's probably, you have to cut corners in there and reduce costs to get it down to a price where people are actually going to buy it. And there's no way my brain could make this thing work, right? Just for sourdough bread. And the same thing goes for things like, I don't know, our pickles or fermented pickles or any canning we do or any freeze drying we do. It's the same thing. So I can't, a big jar of pickles, it's heavy, it's time consuming, and the amount you can buy like some big brands pickles for in the store, nobody's going to buy it. Another example is one of the coolest things we did. We grew a whole bunch of garlic for a couple years, and I thought, this is amazing. So garlic, and the going price for this specialized hardneck garlic was about $15 a pound just for like raw garlic. So I was like, geez, like I bet freeze-dried garlic would be good. So we grew these things, and then I imported from China, a little clove peeler thing. So you have to break apart the bulb, put it in the clove peeler like 3 times, and it mostly, like, it's a sticky mess when you get into processing garlic. And then you have the cloves, and it stunk up our whole like little processing facility. And then you have to mince it and then put it on freeze dryer trays. Had a specific freeze dryer just for garlic because it stunk up the whole machine. And then freeze dried the garlic, minced garlic, and then 2 days later it comes out in this super hard sheet. And then you use this crusher to turn it into kind of a coarse powder. And probably that would be actually the best garlic on planet Earth. There's no possible way to get it better. So we grew hardneck, music garlic, organic stuff, and then processed it how you dry garlic, and then process it quickly, and then freeze dry it, so that's the best food preservation possible, and then crush it, any nutrition in there. And then I've got this garlic that's good forever. It's so convenient in cooking and things, but the cost for that whole system, for that to happen, by the time I put it in a health food store and they took their minimum 30% margin or something like that, we're talking like $50 a pound for garlic. And then freeze drying, it's $50 a pound for garlic, but you take the water out of it and then it's only 100 grams or something. So a 100-gram bag of organic hardneck music freeze-dried garlic in a health food store for $50. And right next to it in the garlic section is a bag of garlic powder, is all it's called, for $5. And it's the same size. Well, it's going to be a hard sell selling somebody $50 when right next to it there's a few products for $5. Is this a business? Nope, not a chance. Threw that out of my mind, right? But we do that for ourselves and put garlic away and herbs away and freeze-dried it for ourselves. Again, my entrepreneurial mind is, well, if I can't do these products and sell it, I can't make somebody sourdough bread and sell it. I can't figure that out. Like, it's not worth my time. Fermented carrots, pickles, lots of these homesteading type stuff we're doing. The freeze-dried stuff in our facility off things we grew. The price is too high. The costs are too high. I can't do it. So my entrepreneurial mind is thinking about the YouTube thing. Well, if I can't provide people the product, then I can provide them the information on how to do that product for themselves, because I literally can't provide that for you, but I can provide the information for you for free and maybe get a tiny bit of compensation if the YouTube thing works out. So there you go. Like, all this stuff is really good. Freeze-dried garlic, really good. Fermented carrots, really good. Sourdough, really good. Kimchi, really good. Can I make you kimchi, fermented carrot, sourdough, freeze-dried garlic, and provide it to you for a price that's affordable where you'll actually buy it? I cannot. It's impossible. A good example is somebody that doesn't have much of a entrepreneurial mind would be, my grandma makes the best apple pie on planet Earth, the best apple pie in the world. Grandma, we should turn this into a business, right? Well, grandma probably uses like lard. Maybe she rendered the lard herself. And there's probably a whole bunch of really good butter and things. It's made with love. She puts a little design in it. So the cost of ingredients are very, very high. The amount of time it takes to do that apple pie is very, very high. And at the end of the day, if you want to take all that time to do that and sell enough to like pay some of your bills or all of your bills, or just make a tiny little living, you got to make quite a few pies, and you have to have enough to sell those in person. And if you're going to have to take your pies down to the farmer's market, pay for a booth at a farmer's market or something. And if not, maybe there's a retailer that'll sell your pies for you. So grandma does make the best apple pie on planet Earth. You are right. Is it a business? Can you turn it into a business? No, you can't. So the apple pie companies, I'm sure, are massive, massive ovens. Everything's fine-tuned. Instead of lard, maybe they use oil. Maybe they substitute butter for margarine to get the costs down and things. And, the commercial industry makes you a pretty good pie. Is it as good as grandma? Grandma's pie, not even close. But can Grandma turn hers into an industrial thing and produce these pies for $10 when Grandma has $15 worth of ingredients in her pie plus all the time it took? It's like there's no business there. So again, if we made the best apple pies in the world and I can't turn it into a business, then I could put it on YouTube and show people this is how you can make the best apple pie. Now, all this is very important because of especially the economic conditions and inflation. So as times get more difficult in the world, people are going to have less and less disposable income, even to buy food products. So they're already, like, people in general are switching to lower quality foods, store name brands, lower quality ingredients, maybe even eating less. And it isn't even bad yet. It's going to get significantly worse, just so you know. Like, it's just economics. It's like gravity. Oh, if I throw that ball way up in the air, what is going to happen? The ball's going to go up there, and then it's going to kind of find its peak and hover there, and then it's going to go down slowly, and then it's going to come crashing down and smack into the earth. Well, that's the same with the laws of economics. It's like gravity to me when you fully understand everything. Anyways, so I already told you I can't provide you fermented carrots, sourdough, freeze-dried garlic. I can't provide you these things. I can't provide you Grandma's apple pie. But I can provide you the ways how to do that. Hopefully I provide that in the best way possible. And that's kind of my strategy, right? So moving forward, nobody is going to help you. You have to do things for yourself moving forward. The government is not going to help you. The government doesn't help anything. All they do is print money and distribute it out and create inflation. And all they do is take money from people producing things and make it harder for them to produce things. That's what government provides for you. Nobody is going to provide you Grandma's apple pie for a really cheap price that you're happy with paying, right? If you want to buy Grandma's apple pie, it's going to be $60 a pie pretty soon. If you want to buy a jar of fermented kimchi from somebody, well, already a tiny little jar at the grocery store is like $13 for some amazing actual kimchi like we make. This tiny little jar, like that, that's how much I eat of it in a day, $13. Instead, I got to show you how to build a greenhouse, how to garden it yourself, things that we're doing anyways, how to put these ingredients together, how to ferment it. And it's very cheap. And moving forward, you're going to have to do this for yourself or you're not going to eat. And all this stuff, it's kind of a funny thing. It's the old school ways. It's better for you. Like, we live in a world of fake money, fake news, fake everything, and fake food. So one of the biggest problems is, well, I guess obesity, and that's because the food is fake, but that a lot of it contributes to gut health is one thing. And, we're eating seed oils and margarine instead of butter, and Beyond Meat or lab-grown tumor meat will be the next thing, or bugs instead of actual meat, grass-fed meat. Even the meat we eat is not grass-fed. It'll be grain-fed, and animals aren't really supposed to eat grain. Like, you're not supposed to feed a goat or cow grain. Be better grass-fed, right? Like natural things. But anyways, if you want to eat or eat well, or not just eat or eat well, but eat healthy, you literally have to do these things for yourself. So that's kind of my plan of, that's just a little insight into my brain of what I'm doing for myself. So I've got the separate big business with big production and big shipments and big money and things, and there's enough room to get it on Amazon, and I can ship it to you and things and blah, blah, blah. I can't do that myself. My strategy is keep that going until eventually, like, people are hurting bad enough that they literally can't afford food, let alone my food. Like, fruit and vegetables in Canada is almost a luxury already for a lot of people, unfortunately. And, again, whose fault is this? It's government, central banks, the whole fake system. And because of democracy, it's the majority of people's fault. So, everybody has to look in the mirror. This is inevitable stuff I'm talking about. This isn't far-fetched stuff, but fruit and vegetables are a luxury. So eventually, if my sales go down or government regulations up, then I just stop that. And who cares? Like, I'm mentally prepared. And I'm saying this while things are going very well for us. People are enjoying our products and the sales are good, blah, blah, blah. This YouTube thing gave me a platform to provide a lot of value to help people to learn how to save money and be frugal and homestead and things and eat healthier and be not as affected of inflation and be able to do things for themselves. So that's one form of value that I've decided I could create. But also when I talk about hyper local, I have to explain that better for anybody setting up a system as well. But hyper local, I'm not planning on, a production line and packaging material and to do freeze-dried food or apple pies or so big ovens and things. I'm talking about I'm going to be providing raw hay bales, raw straw bales, raw meat, whether you want a whole goat, a half a goat, a live goat, a goat cut up in certain pieces, and at the very furthest extent of it, a goat meat in, cut and wrapped, as the butcher would say. Or I'm also going to provide you, here's eggs, and the extent of the processing is the eggs were picked and put in a carton, and there it is for you. I'm not going to freeze dry eggs. It costs too much money. I'm not going to cook scrambled eggs and freeze dry them and make you a scrambled egg freeze dried MRE because it's too expensive to process that. And the customer base moving forward, the general population, everybody's going to have less, spend more money and have less moving forward in this economic situation. So eggs, a handful of or a bag of carrots is the extent of the processing. Maybe you come even dig your own carrots, right? Maybe you come pick your own apples, or the extent of the processing is picking apples off a tree, putting it in a bag, and this is how much it is per pound. You make your own apple pie. If you're interested in making your own apple pie, here's a link to our YouTube thing and what we do to make the best apple pie. Go hard, right? Because $25 apple pie is hard to, it's a hard sale, right? But apples for the going rate where it didn't take a lot of time in processing and people can still have a variety of raw foods. That's my strategy. And if eventually you have like a CSA box or something, maybe you have a little bit of spare time and maybe you freeze dry a little bag of parsley and you can give your loyal little tiny customer base a little treat here and there. Or do a big batch of jerky and give them a little treat in their CSA box, direct in person, no government regulations because those are going to get more expensive and more worse. That's the strategy. So I got one more example about taking advantage of things today, and I've made this example years ago, but I'm just thinking about it now again. But the Subway sandwich example. So you go to Subway and for $8 or something, you get to pick your foot-long bread. You get to pick your meat, your cheese, if you want it toasted, whatever vegetables you want on it. And at minutes later, for $8 or something, you have a foot-long sub, or I don't even know what they cost now. People would think, well, instead of eating out all the time, I'm going to go to the grocery store and to make my own sandwiches. So then you go to the grocery store and you buy a little bag of sub sandwich buns. And then you go to the deli and get them to shave you off some deli meat. You're making the same sandwich as you would have got at Subway, right? And then you go to the dairy department and you get some cheese. And then you go to the vegetable department and you buy all the different vegetables. So lettuce, spinach, tomatoes, onions, green peppers, olives, jalapeno peppers, pineapple, whatever else is on there. And then you go to the middle aisles and you get your dressing, so mustard and mayo or ranch or whatever you're planning on putting on your sub. And then you leave the grocery store and your grocery bills, like probably for all that is like, I don't know, what, $70 to $100 for that nowadays. Or you can go to Subway, and for $8, they make you a nice hot sandwich for you ready to eat, right? Now, arguably, is the Subway a good quality? I mean, it's better quality than maybe McDonald's or something, but the grocery store buns are probably have stuff in them or aren't particularly good for you, or even their vegetables at the grocery store might not be good for you. So it's expensive to buy the ingredients and then make your Subway sandwich. Or you want to really get an expensive sandwich to save yourself some money? Why don't you start a massive garden and nurse your tomatoes for 6 months, and then pick them and process them, and then make your own sub sandwich buns out of you buy all the raw ingredients from wherever you can get. Then get a cheese making kit and make your own cheese, and then process some meat and buy everything you need for that, and then process some meat. And then instead of $8 from Subway or $60 from the grocery store, maybe you're talking hundreds of dollars for the sandwich now. What I'm getting at is take advantage of some of the things that are available. Now, obviously, of course, if you make your own sandwich and things and everything you need for that sandwich, it's going to be a better quality product. It's going to be healthier. There's going to be no chemicals in it. You're going to have a sense of accomplishment, and you'll always be able to do that. But, Subway, maybe it's not as good, right? Maybe it has chemicals in it. Who knows? But it's $8, right? When all this comes tumbling down and all of a sudden people can't afford to go to any restaurants, even Subway anymore, and Subway goes out of business and things, you're still going to have the ability to make yourself sub sandwiches once in a while, right? So I like investing in, what would you need to make? You need a sourdough special bowl and the special little knife. You need a Dutch oven. You need to make meat. You need some casings and some equipment and a meat slicer and a stainless table to be able to process your own meat and a few things. You need the skills how to do that. I make garden soil, really good garden soil, so anything I grow is very healthy and it has lots of minerals in it, and we do that anyways. A flour mill, so we can take wheat berries and then turn it into flour, and then from that flour we can make our breads and things. But all these are kind of upfront infrastructure things that I'm going to have the rest of my life, and even multi-generational, some of these things. And once you have that and have a system, then it doesn't cost you, like I was saying, hundreds of dollars for one Subway sandwich. It costs a little bit to get set up, and it does cost your time. But in a world full of economic collapse and super high inflation, there's going to be no job, so all you're going to have is time anyways. So let's end that rant there. Let me know what you think. What I'm trying to say with all of that is take advantage of some of the amenities that we have today, but don't lose touch of anything. Do things yourself, get the skills, get some of the equipment, and continue to do things yourself. Put a wood stove in your house, even though it's not actually feasible at all. Get some firewood. Go out, instead of watching Netflix or going to the gym, go out and buck some firewood up, like they did in the olden days. Start a garden anyways. You have the resilience there. Learn how to do all those things. It's very fun. It's a very fulfilling life. All of these things that I'm talking about, that's not work. You learn to enjoy it. If you don't think you're going to enjoy it, you train yourself to enjoy it. And it is a good, fulfilling life. Your life gets better. You get better food, freer. Over time, you save yourself a bunch of money. Over time, you're eating healthier. It's a very fulfilling life knowing that you can be self-reliant and reliant on yourself and not reliant on all these systems that are, in my opinion, destined to collapse. So, thanks for listening. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think. We'll talk to you guys next time.